Warren led Terence through the house to a study that overlooked a garden where fall leaves were just beginning to turn gold and red. He gestured for Terence to sit in one of the leather chairs facing the desk. "Can I get you something to drink? Water? Soda?" "Water's fine, thank you." Warren poured 2 glasses from the pitcher on the side table and handed one to Terence. Then he sat down across from him, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. "Terence, I've been thinking about our conversation in the car. About your mother. About healthcare access. About your goals. And I've done some research." Terence's eyes narrowed slightly. "Research? I hope you don't mind, but I called your school yesterday. Spoke with your principal, Mr. Henderson, and your guidance counselor, Mrs. Rodriguez. I wanted to verify what you told me about yourself." Warren could see Terence's posture stiffen defensively. The kid was probably wondering if this had all been some kind of test, if Warren had been checking to see if he was lying. "And here's what I learned," Warren continued, his voice steady and serious. "You're ranked number 2 in your class of 412 students. You've maintained a perfect 4.0 GPA while working 20 hours a week at the grocery store. You volunteer at the community center every Tuesday and Thursday, teaching math to elementary school kids. You're the president of the science club and the captain of the academic decathlon team." Terence looked uncomfortable with the praise, shifting in his seat. "I just do what needs to be done." "No," Warren said firmly. "You do far more than what needs to be done. You excel despite obstacles that would crush most people." Warren stood and walked to the window, his back to Terence. He needed to say this next part carefully. "Do you know what I do for a living, Terence? Your card said you're the CEO of Beckford Pharmaceuticals." "That's right." Warren turned to face him. "I founded the company 28 years ago with a loan of $50,000 and a single idea about how to manufacture generic medications more efficiently. Today, we're one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the Midwest, with over 2,000 employees and annual revenues exceeding $4 billion. He watched Terence's face carefully. The kid didn't look impressed. He looked calculating, like he was trying to figure out where this was going. "But what I don't talk about publicly," Warren continued, "is where I came from. My father was a janitor. My mother worked at a laundromat. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Gary, Indiana, where the steel mills were closing and opportunities were disappearing faster than jobs." Now Terence's expression changed. Surprise. And something else, recognition, maybe. "I was the first person in my family to go to college," Warren said. "And I only managed that because a professor I met at a community event saw something in me and helped me navigate the scholarship application process. He spent 6 months preparing me for entrance exams, helping me write application essays, teaching me how to navigate systems that people like me weren't supposed to access." Warren sat back down across from Terence. "That professor's name was Dr. James Morrison. He was black. I'm white. But that didn't matter to him. What mattered was that he saw potential being wasted because of circumstances beyond my control." Terence was listening intently now, his defensive posture softening. "Dr. Morrison passed away 15 years ago," Warren said quietly. "But before he died, I visited him in the hospital. I asked him what I could do to repay what he'd done for me. And you know what he said?" Terence shook his head. He said, "You don't repay it, Warren. You pay it forward. Find someone who needs what I gave you, and give it to them." The silence in the room felt heavy with meaning. "Terence," Warren said, his voice thick with emotion he wasn't trying to hide, "I want to be for you what Dr. Morrison was for me. Not because you're black and you need saving. Not because I feel guilty about anything. But because you're exceptional, and you deserve every opportunity to reach your full potential." Terence's eyes were bright with emotion he was clearly trying to control. His hands were gripped tight on the arms of the chair. "Mr. Beckford, I appreciate this more than you know. But I told you Thursday, I don't take charity. And I told you this isn't charity. This is investment." Warren pulled a folder from his desk drawer and placed it on the table between them. "I've created a program through my company's foundation. It's called the Morrison Fellowship, named after the man who changed my life." He opened the folder, showing Terrence the documents inside. The fellowship provides comprehensive support for academically exceptional students from underserved communities who want to pursue careers in medicine or pharmaceutical sciences. It covers full tuition, room and board, and living expenses for undergraduate and graduate education. It also provides summer internships at Beckford Pharmaceuticals, mentorship from professionals in the field, and a guaranteed job offer upon graduation if the fellow maintains satisfactory academic progress. Terrence stared at the documents, his breathing shallow. How many fellowships are you offering? Warren met his eyes directly. Right now, just one. And I'm offering it to you. Terrence looked up sharply. Why me? You barely know me. Warren leaned back in his chair, considering how to explain something he wasn't entirely sure he understood himself. Thursday afternoon, when you approached my car, I was scared of you. The confession came out harder than Warren expected. I'm ashamed to admit it, but it's true. I saw a young black man approaching, and my first instinct was to lock the doors. He watched Terrence's face carefully. The kid didn't look surprised, just resigned, like he'd heard the story before. But you know what you did? Warren continued. You offered help without expecting anything in return. You worked in the rain to fix a stranger's tire. You talked about your dreams with a clarity and purpose that I rarely see in people twice your age. And when I offered you money, you almost turned it down because you didn't want to compromise your dignity. Warren's voice grew stronger. In my business career, I've met thousands of people who would have tried to leverage that situation for maximum personal gain. But you just wanted to make sure I was safe and could get home. That kind of character is rarer than intelligence, rarer than talent, and infinitely more valuable. Terrence was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing the edge of the folder. If I accept this, he said slowly, what happens to the Mitchell scholarship I'm competing for? Because there are other kids who need that money just as badly as I do. Warren felt a surge of respect so strong it almost knocked the breath out of him. Even now, facing a life-changing opportunity, Terrence was thinking about others. If you accept the Morrison Fellowship, you withdraw from the Mitchell competition, which means someone else gets that opportunity. So yes, your decision to accept my offer creates space for another deserving student. Terrence nodded slowly. And there are no strings attached? No requirements beyond academic performance. Well, there is one additional expectation, Warren said. Once you're established in your career, I expect you to do what Dr. Morrison told me to do. Find someone who needs what we gave you and pay it forward. Terrence looked down at his hands. Warren could see the weight of the moment settling over him. This wasn't just about accepting help. It was about accepting a fundamental change in the trajectory of his entire life. Can I ask you something? Terrence said quietly. Anything. Why does this feel so hard to accept? His voice cracked slightly. I should be jumping at this opportunity, but part of me feels like taking it means admitting I couldn't have made it on my own. Warren recognized the feeling immediately. He had wrestled with the same demon decades ago. Because you've spent your whole life being told that your worth is measured by your ability to survive without help, Warren said gently. That needing support is weakness. That accepting opportunities from others diminishes your achievements. He leaned forward, his voice firm but compassionate. But that's a lie, Terrence. The most successful people in the world didn't get there alone. They got there because someone saw their potential and helped remove obstacles that had nothing to do with their ability or worth. But what if I fail? Terrence's voice was barely a whisper. What if I accept this and I can't live up to what you're investing in me? Then you fail, and we figure out what comes next. Warren's voice was steady. But I've seen enough in my life to know that failure isn't what you should worry about. What you should worry about is spending your whole life wondering what you could have achieved if you'd had the courage to accept help when it was offered. Terrence looked up, and Warren could see the battle was over. The boy had made his decision. Mr. Beckford, Terrence said, his voice thick with emotion, I accept your offer, and I promise you that I will work harder than anyone has ever worked to make sure your investment in me isn't wasted. Warren smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with business success or financial gain. This was something different, something more fundamental, the satisfaction of knowing he was changing a life in the way his life had been changed. Terrence, I have no doubt about your work ethic. What I want you to promise me instead is that you'll allow yourself to enjoy the journey. You've spent so long in survival mode that you've forgotten how to dream beyond the next obstacle. I want you to dream bigger. Terrence stood up, and Warren stood with him. The boy extended his hand, and Warren shook it firmly. Thank you, Mr. Beckford, Terrence said, for seeing me, for believing in me, for giving me a chance I didn't even know existed. Thank you, Warren replied, for stopping to help a stranger in the rain, for reminding me what really matters, and for letting me be part of your story. 6 months passed like a blur of paperwork, applications, and life-changing phone calls. Terrence was accepted early admission to the University of Chicago's pre-med program with a full Morrison Fellowship covering everything from tuition to textbooks to a laptop computer that made his old library sessions look like ancient history. The day the acceptance letter arrived, Terrence called Warren from his grandmother's apartment. Mr. Beckford, I got in. University of Chicago. They said yes. Warren could hear the disbelief in his voice, like Terrence still couldn't quite believe this was real. Congratulations, Terrence. I never doubted it for a second. I need to tell Miss Gloria. She's at work right now. But, go tell her, Warren said, smiling. This moment belongs to both of you. Call me later. That evening, Warren got a text message. It was a photo of Terrence and his grandmother, both of them crying, holding the acceptance letter between them. Miss Gloria's face was radiant with joy and relief. The caption read, "She said her prayers have been answered. Thank you for being the answer." Warren saved that photo. He would look at it years later and remember this exact moment. The moment he understood that Dr. Morrison had been right. This wasn't about repaying a debt. It was about participating in something bigger than yourself, something that multiplied instead of diminished. But what impressed Warren most over those 6 months wasn't Terrence's academic success. It was what Terrence did with his own newfound stability. 3 months after accepting the fellowship, Terrence called Warren with a proposal. Mr. Beckford, I've been thinking about what you said about paying it forward, and I don't want to wait until I'm established in my career. I want to start now. I'm listening. I want to create a tutoring program at my high school. Pair academically successful students with younger students who are struggling, with a focus on teaching not just academic content, but the study skills and mindset necessary for long-term success. Warren felt pride surge through him. Tell me more. I know I'm just one person, Terrence said, and Warren could hear the passion in his voice. But if I can help even 5 or 10 kids see what's possible for them, that's 5 or 10 more lives that might be changed. And if those kids help others later, it multiplies. Just like you and Dr. Morrison. How much funding do you need? I was thinking maybe $2,000 to start. For supplies, snacks, maybe some incentive rewards for the students. You've got 10,000, Warren interrupted. Make it something that can grow. Mr. Beckford, that's too much. Terrence, I'm investing in your vision. Use what you need. Build something that lasts. There was silence on the other end. Then, thank you. I won't let you down. I know you won't. What happened next exceeded everyone's expectations. Within 1 semester, Terrence's tutoring program had grown from 10 volunteer tutors to 45. The energy was contagious. Honor students who had never considered tutoring suddenly wanted to be part of something meaningful. Test scores in the school's STEM classes increased by an average of 12%. More importantly, college application rates from Southside High increased for the first time in 5 years. Mrs. Rodriguez, the guidance counselor, called Warren personally. Mr. Beckford, I don't know what you said to Terrence Mason, but that boy is changing this school. I've been here 18 years, and I've never seen anything like it. He's changing more than the school, Warren replied. He's changing the future. The local news picked up the story. Channel 8 ran a segment about the young Morrison Fellow who was transforming his former high school while preparing for his own college career. The segment caught the attention of the University of Chicago, and they reached out to offer Terrence a position in their community engagement office while he was a student. paid position, real responsibilities. Another opportunity multiplying from the first. Warren watched all of this unfold with a sense of pride he had never experienced with any business achievement. This was different from closing a deal or launching a successful product. This was watching potential become reality, watching one act of help multiply into dozens of changed lives. But the most profound moment came 9 months after their first meeting. Warren was in his office reviewing quarterly projections when his secretary buzzed. "Mr. Beckford, there's a young man named Terrence Mason in the lobby. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's important. Send him right up." Terrence walked into Warren's office looking more confident than the rain-soaked boy who had changed a tire on the highway, but carrying the same essential humility that had drawn Warren to him in the first place. "Mr. Beckford, I need to tell you something," Terrence said, sitting down without being invited. A small sign of how their relationship had evolved from formal benefactor and recipient to something more like genuine friendship. "What's that?" "I got the results from the Mitchell Scholarship competition yesterday. The one I withdrew from to accept your fellowship." Warren nodded, unsure where this was going. "The kid who won my spot." Terrence's voice caught with emotion. "It's a girl named Jasmine Williams. She's from my neighborhood. I've known her since middle school. She's brilliant, Mr. Beckford. Better at chemistry than I ever was. But she never thought college was possible because her family situation was even harder than mine." Terrence's eyes were bright with tears he wasn't trying to hide anymore. "She called me last night crying because she couldn't believe she'd won. She said she'd been ready to give up, to accept that college wasn't in the cards for her. And all I could think was that if I hadn't accepted your help, she wouldn't have gotten that opportunity." Warren felt his throat tighten with unexpected emotion. "Don't you see?" Terrence continued. "My accepting what you offered didn't just change my life. It changed hers too. And she's going to change other lives. It multiplies just like you said." Warren stood and walked around his desk, sitting in the chair next to Terrence rather than behind his desk. The physical gesture felt important. This wasn't boss and employee, benefactor and recipient. This was two people connected by something deeper. "Terrence, do you remember what you said to me that day on the highway? When I asked why you were helping me?" Terrence thought for a moment. "I said I did it because you needed help." "Exactly. Not because I deserved it or earned it or could repay you. Just because I needed it and you had the ability to provide it." Warren smiled. "That's the same reason I offered you the fellowship. Not because you earned it through some cosmic scoreboard of suffering, but because you needed it and I had the ability to provide it. Everything else, your intelligence, your character, your potential, those just made it obvious where to direct the help." Terrence was quiet for a moment. "Thank you, Mr. Beckford, not just for the fellowship, but for teaching me that accepting help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And thank you for teaching me that the best investment I'll ever make isn't in pharmaceuticals. It's in people." 5 years later, Warren sat in the audience at the University of Chicago's graduation ceremony, watching Terrence Mason walk across the stage to receive his bachelor's degree with highest honors. Sitting next to Warren was Miss Gloria, Terrence's grandmother, wearing a new dress that Terrence had bought her for the occasion. She was crying softly, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. "My grandson's going to be a doctor," she whispered to Warren, her voice breaking. "A real doctor." Warren squeezed her hand gently. "He's going to be more than that, Miss Gloria. He's going to be someone who changes the system, just like he said he would." After the ceremony, at the reception, Terrence introduced Warren to Jasmine Williams, who was about to start her junior year in chemical engineering. "Mr. Beckford, I wanted to thank you personally," Jasmine said, shaking his hand firmly. She had the same intensity in her eyes that Terrence had, the same determination. "I know that the Morrison Fellowship that Terrence received is what created space for me to get the Mitchell Scholarship. So in a way, you helped me too." Warren smiled. "Actually, Jasmine, Terrence is the one who helped you. I just helped him." "But that's not where the chain ends," Terrence interjected, gesturing to a group of younger students standing nearby. "Mr. Beckford, these are 10 students from my old high school who are part of the tutoring program that's now in its 5th year. 3 of them just got accepted to college on full scholarships. And they're already planning to start similar programs at their universities. Warren looked at the young faces before him. Black, white, Latino, Asian. All of them brimming with potential that was now being unleashed because one boy had stopped on a highway to help a stranger with a flat tire. You know what I learned from all of this? Warren said to the group. I learned that help isn't a one-way transaction. When I helped Terrence, he helped Jasmine, who helped you, who will help others. Every act of genuine help creates ripples that touch lives we'll never even know about. One of the students, a young man named David, raised his hand shyly. Mr. Beckford, sir, Terrence told us about how you started the Morrison Fellowship because someone helped you when you were young. Is that true? It is. So does that mean this whole thing started because someone helped you 30 years ago? Warren thought about Dr. Morrison, the black professor who had taken a chance on a poor white kid from Gary, Indiana. He thought about all the obstacles Dr. Morrison had helped him overcome, all the doors that had opened because someone had believed in his potential. Yes, Warren said quietly. It started long before I met Terrence, and it will continue long after I'm gone. That's the beautiful thing about helping people. It doesn't end. It multiplies. That evening, Warren and Terrence sat alone in Warren's study, sharing the kind of comfortable silence that only comes from deep mutual respect. Next fall, I start medical school at Johns Hopkins, Terrence said, looking out at the garden where fall leaves were turning gold and red again, just like they had been that first day. 4 years from now, I'll be Dr. Terrence Mason. It still doesn't feel real. It's real, Warren assured him, and you earned every bit of it. We earned it, Terrence corrected gently. You, me, Miss Gloria, Mrs. Rodriguez, Jasmine, all the kids in the tutoring program. None of us did this alone. Warren raised his glass in a toast. To Dr. James Morrison, who started all of this by helping a kid who needed it. And to you, Terrence, for teaching me that the best investment I ever made wasn't in pharmaceuticals. It was in people. Terrence raised his own glass. To second chances, to flat tires in the rain, and to the courage it takes to accept help when you need it. As they drank, Warren felt a profound sense of completion. He had built a billion-dollar company, accumulated wealth beyond his childhood imagination, and achieved success by every conventional measure. But this, watching Terrence prepare to enter medical school, knowing that dozens of other lives had been transformed in the process. This was the achievement that would matter long after the quarterly earnings reports were forgotten. The poor black boy who had helped the white man with a flat tire had taught him something that no business school or boardroom experience could have taught. That the greatest success isn't measured in dollars or market share, but in the number of lives you touch and the ripples of possibility you create in the world. And as Warren watched Terrence walk out into the evening, already planning his next initiative to help students from his old neighborhood, he knew that Dr. Morrison would have been proud. The chain of help continued, link by link, life by life, creating a legacy that would long outlive them all. The rain had stopped years ago, but the effects of what happened on that highway continued to spread, touching lives in ways neither of them could have predicted. And that, Warren thought, was exactly how it was supposed to work. Help given freely, received with gratitude, paid forward with purpose. It was the simplest formula in the world, and the most powerful. All because a boy stopped to help when help was needed most. So here's my question for you, wherever you're watching this right now. Who is your Terrence? Who is your Warren? Is there someone in your life right now who needs help that you can provide? Maybe they don't look like you. Maybe they don't come from your world. Maybe your first instinct is to lock the doors when you see them coming. Or maybe you're the one who needs to find the courage to accept help that's being offered. Maybe you've been telling yourself that accepting support is weakness, that you have to do everything alone, that needing help means you're not strong enough. Both of those lies, both of them, they're keeping you from your purpose. This story proves that the smallest choice, to help a stranger, to accept a business card, to believe in someone's potential, can create a chain reaction that touches hundreds of lives. Warren could have driven past that broken-down car. Terrence could have kept walking in the rain. Either of those choices would have been easier, safer, more comfortable, but they chose differently. And look what happened. Now it's your turn. If this story moved you, if it made you think differently about the strangers you pass every day, I need you to do 4 things right now. First, hit that like button. Seriously, it helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. YouTube needs to know this matters. Second, subscribe to VICKTALE. We're building a community of people who believe in the power of compassion, who understand that we're all connected, who know that one act of kindness can change everything. Join us. Third, share this video. Think about someone in your life who needs to hear this message. Maybe someone who's struggling, maybe someone who has the power to help but hasn't recognized it yet, and send them this video right now. Don't wait. Do it now. And fourth, most important, look around your life today. Find your moment on that rainy highway. Find your chance to change everything. Because somewhere right now, someone needs what you have to give. And somewhere right now, someone has what you need to receive. Don't let fear, pride, or prejudice stop you from creating your own chain reaction of possibility. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever been helped by a stranger? Or have you helped someone and watched it multiply into something bigger? I read every single comment, and your stories inspire the next videos I create. I'm VICKTALE, and I'll see you in the next story. Until then, remember, help given freely, received with gratitude, paid forward with purpose. That's the formula that changes the world. God bless you all. Now go out there and be someone's Warren. Or have the courage to be someone's Terrence. The choice is yours. But make no mistake, the choice matters more than you know.